Welcome along to Inside the Gold Cup, the show that isn't afraid to go in depth when it comes to analysing the matches in the 9th edition of the tournament. Yes, my name is Dennis Katsanos. You know, sometimes you hear others that are a little bit scared to go in depth into something. They kind of nibble around the edges of the cookie. With me, two men that aren't afraid to go right to the gooey caramel centre, just straight in there and pound straight in there. Cookie Monster. Shit Messi and his invisible friend Snuffleupagus. No, I'm only kidding. John Hugs. Of course, two ex-US internationals. And guys, the one thing that I noticed, I had the pleasure of going to the games at Group C at the Giants Stadium, a fantastic place. Never been there before. For a person that's never been to the US, going to the Giants Stadium was amazing to start with. But when there's 68,000 people there and there's so much colour and so much atmosphere and so much going on through the activation zone, and during the tournament there's all the singing and everything going ballistic, it's fantastic to see how the Gold Cup has grown from 91 to now in 2007, Shep.
Yeah, Dennis, I think you're absolutely right. When you look at the electric atmosphere in Giants Stadium for that game, I think it really tells a good story, because the story of soccer since Gold Cup started in this country has only grown up and better. The players have been better, the standard of play is better, the quality of the Gold Cup is better, and this is a nation where really we tend to be fragmented when it comes to soccer. A tournament like the Gold Cup embraces everybody.
Brings everybody together. Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think that you know, in terms of just the exposure itself, I think people become, you know, they have an identification situation going on here. People know the players that are on the field. Why? Because they're better players. Like Shep said, the quality is better. The countries are being exposed through CONCACAF and the Gold Cup. I think still there's a lot of people out there that were just, probably 5, 6 years ago, that were thinking, well, who's in our CONCACAF region? Honestly. And I think because of the Gold Cup, not just because of the excitement in the stadiums and everything else, but the exposure, the television, it's become a lot bigger, and this is fantastic. I mean, and we're starting to see games like, you know, Mexico playing in the stadium where there's 68,000, but also mixed in with all the other fans as well, Honduras fans sitting next to you. And like you said, Shep, this is bringing people together, and that's what our sport does. This is what soccer does.
Listen, we're talking as former players. Dennis is talking as a fan, but that's a good perspective.
And we're all fans anyway.
We are fans of the game. But that is the best that this sport has to offer when you have 68,000 Mexican and Honduras fans, not segregated, sitting together. That's a joyous occasion.
And then you throw in a few Panamanians and a few Cubans.
And a guy from Brooklyn. So it was
exactly. Joey's always there. There's an Uncle Joey somewhere.
In terms of potential, how much more potential is there to go forward for football in the US?
I think it's, you know, the sky's the limit, basically, because, you know, if you've seen the growth and you try to measure that in what percentage, you know, in terms of tickets sold, you know, contracts being done with television exposure and things like that, I think it's just only going to grow tremendously more. And now that we're starting to see that these players not only are being exposed in the quality, these players, we were just talking, Shep, when do you see a Honduras player in a national team playing in Poland? I mean, it's, you know, it's changing. The game is changing. It's becoming more global. You're starting to, and more accepting as well. National team coaches are changing from one to another. They're going to country to country to country. Players are mixing in. They're getting international experience in different, you know, talking about different countries and cultures. So this is great. It's only best thing for the game.
All right. Well, when we return, we get into the round 2 matches from Group C. But remember, only 6 more games to go after that. So here's a little schedule of the quarters, semis, and finals. Did I say finals? Plural?
yeah, but
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
Welcome back to Inside the Gold Cup, where the first round 2 match from Group C was played yesterday between Honduras and Mexico. And having a look at the Honduras lineup, Vallecillo, John, could have potentially had a lot of work cut out for him.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, if you've got players in there that are really like Castillo and who was very dangerous the other night, he tried to chip the keeper, so he's a good vision and things like that, then he would have his hands full. But, you know, looking at this lineup right here, where Honduras are trying to go at least strengthen the midfield, trying to get players forward as well. Pavon, Costly up top.
Yeah, I look at that lineup. It says two things. They gave up 3 goals against Panama. They've got to strengthen up at the back, and Pavon, Guevara hopefully create up front.
Well, Shep, looking at the Mexicans, loads and loads of talent in the side once again, and again on paper it should be an easy thing for them.
It's never easy, so
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You got to translate the paper to the field.
Yeah,
Dennis,
that's the main thing. Okay, look, let's
show
have a
the
look.
obvious.
How many millions of dollars are running around on the paddock for this lot?
You got a good point, but I look at the back and I see, you know, right away a key player they're missing, Marquez with the injury. Salcido in the starting lineup. He didn't start the first one. Sanchez in goal. Talk about the guys in the attacking third, John.
Well, in the attacking third, I mean, you've got Bravo and Blanco. Blanco's new to the game. He's going to be in there. I mean, the other night he didn't start. The one thing about Blanco playing for the Chicago Fire, just been signed by Major League Soccer. For me, he's not a complete player. I think his legs are gone. It's a little bit past him. And Castillo is a player who's exciting. You know, the number 21 who plays up front, a little bit of a guy that likes to drift into the midfield. He's very creative. These are the players I want to see on the field. For me, Hugo Sanchez, I think, has made a mistake here with this lineup. I mean, I commend him for taking out Bautista. I think Bautista, who plays at CD Guadalajara in Mexico, is not the same player as he used to be 2 years ago either. So these are the types of things that he's made. He's got to live and die by these changes. But to have no Castillo in there in the lineup, Borghetti played with him very well up front. I think they combined it well. And
I think that's a great point, John. And
you know,
I'll tell
Borghetti,
you what,
where's Borghetti?
listen, that's nuts. That's nuts. And it's Hugo Sanchez feeling the pressure already, right? Poor first game. They're writing in the newspapers in Mexico.
Oh, yeah,
this is a must-win.
They're questioning everything, Shep, from whether they're playing like almost like a 4-4-2 flat standard, you know, build up from the back line, or are they pushing players forward as they normally see. Mexico do a good job of like sending left backs and right backs forward into the attack, and that's why they're so good in combination play. Really, as of late, they haven't done that.
Well, Mexico looked shaky in their first game against Cuba. Could they consolidate against Honduras?
This was a wild opening to the game. Look at this. Misplay in the back, and then Costly can't put it away. Goalkeeper, Costly again, PK, Amado Guevara misses. This game is crazy.
I think I lost my mortgage on that one because Guevara has been very deadly from the penalty spot. But hey, hold on a minute, Shep. What's happening there with the Butterfinger? There's something wrong with his gloves.
Yeah, can you catch the ball? This one, Blanco doesn't miss his shot from the penalty kick spot. That put Mexico in the lead.
Yeah, second half, maybe a little bit of a different story. Really, Honduras came out on fire, as we see here. A great cross in the box and tested the goalkeeper early.
No, this guy turns out to be the player of the game. Costly splits the defense, beats the goalkeeper.
Better late than never, huh?
And where's his defense, though, right? When the goalkeeper's out, those defenders have to track back, get on the goal line.
And this is the same thing, Shep. We talked about the defending right now. This is poorly, but I'll tell you what, it's good for Costly. Look at that. Great finish. Look at him climb above everybody. 3 players in the box, no marking nobody. You've got to get tight to a defender. And that guy, to me, looks like Frank Rijkaard. But anyway, that just tells a story. Every picture tells a story. Hugo Sanchez feeling the pain from that match.
Well, having a look at the stats, yes, 2-1 for Honduras over Mexico. The big upset for Group C. And statistically speaking, apart from that, a fairly even match, John.
Well, I mean, maybe an even match in the stats, but really I think that Honduras had more energy, more fluid play from the back and right through the midfield, almost more heart.
Yeah, two things
I mean,
surprised
for me,
me.
The defense of the Mexican side, Shep, all over the place. Nobody getting close to players, shutting them down. You got to close players down. You got to put pressure on the ball. This is something that they didn't do, and maybe it's because of Honduras' movement off the ball that created so much of a chaos in the back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, John, but this Mexican team was shocking on the defensive side of the ball. Look at this miscue in the penalty box. Now, Costly didn't punish it for. He didn't get punished, but again, it's Costly splitting defenders, getting into the box, scoring the goal. But on the defensive side of the ball, this is Costly again. That's just individual brilliance, one-on-one. I think I've never seen a Mexican team look so disorganized.
Well, disorganized, Shep, and I'll tell you what, look at this marking. 4 versus 2 there, 3 versus 2 on the back. They can't get used to get next to players. They're all over the shop. These 3 standing ball watching. Squared up, facing the wrong play. They should be opening up and seeing the player as well that they can at least get close to, get an arm on them, and it's just not happening. I mean, these are players that are experienced, and even if they're not experienced playing at the international stage, they're good enough to know that when you're defending and you're playing for your national side, you've got to be able to see the ball and the player at the same time, and they're not keeping an eye on these guys. They're turning their backs to them. It's the last thing you want to do in defending, whether you're U12 level or you're playing for your national team. Poor defending, bad selections, I think, as well on the part of Hugo Sanchez. The formation itself has seemed a little bit weak. And to me, maybe it's a surprise for a lot of the media saying that Honduras comes back, and maybe, Dennis, it's because this team, they lost their first game, and now they come back and they upset Mexico.
John, for me, this all starts at the top. We pointed out the defensive deficiencies. They're out of sync, Mexico, when they had the ball going forward. But you played so many years, and we've been seeing Mexico forever. I've never seen them so dysfunctional at the back. And I really think that's a function of Hugo Sanchez. He looked nervous after the first game. Hey, I'll tell you, he's got to be dying right now.
If the coach is tight,
the players are tight.
Exactly. And the other thing, too, Shep, and basically what we're all saying here is, for me, I don't think this is a good Mexican side. I really don't.
Well, one thing that Bad Boy Blanco was lacking was discipline. Unbelievable that in front of about 10 cameras, 68,000 people, and 4 officials that had even tried this on.
Look, I'll tell you what, he's been doing it. He does it all the time. I mean, a little bit of embellishment there, a little bit of acting, but I mean, this is Blanco. Blanco's done this. Actually, he's done it to me.
Yeah,
in
John.
The box, and the corner kick, he was marking me tight. I backed up into him, and he headbutted me from behind.
John, you and I were talking about it. Those are crocodile tears. I said when Chicago Fire signed him, they're getting a 34-year-old player with bad knees and a bad attitude, and he showed it again.
And a bad reputation, and this is something else. His reputation precedes him. Players know what's all about him. The referees know about him as well. So now it's almost like he's on the pitch and he's a marked man in many different ways, not even just defensively marking him on the other side of the ball, but this is the referee knows what he's like, and the players know what he's like. They know how to get inside his mind. They can put him off his game, and this is something that's going to be, I think, maybe even a troubling thing for Dave Sarakin, my old pal who was assistant coaching with me at DC United. You know, as a coach, he's fantastic, Davey. But maybe he's got some troubles up ahead. Listen,
we came into this tournament and everybody was saying 2 powerhouses, U.S., Mexico. Hugo Sanchez came in. Yeah, but Hugo Sanchez came in and said, look, I don't even care about group play. I'm not talking about the quarterfinals. I want to beat the U.S. in the final. Let me tell you something. This, so far, shocking display by Mexico.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think there's a lot of, and this is what's fun about the Gold Cup as well, Shep. We talked about the minnows, or we talked about the unexpected.
Yep.
When it comes to tournament play, anybody's game. You can go out there, you can win anything if you challenge and you're organized enough and you have the heart and the passion. Of course, you need ability. I'm not saying you don't have to have ability, but it comes down to not only just the players and what they're doing on the field, but also the coaches, the mindset, and maybe the way they actually approach the game. And I think in terms of Mexico, Hugo Sanchez, they've got some troubles.
Well, John, you touched on ability, and one man with plenty of ability, particularly when it comes to speed, is Carlos Costly. Unbelievable. I love him.
He's a good player, Dennis. I mean, this guy is not... I'll tell you what, this is defending on the wrong side of the ball, by the way. And I know Costly, he makes the most of this. Look at his first touch, and then bang. No hesitation. Some players would take an extra touch there. Watch. In his stride, from an angle like that. That's brilliant.
They had a great game, and remember, he didn't start the first game against Panama, got a goal in stoppage time, but look what he does when he gets the chance to be the starting 11. That's great vertical leap. Defender John had good position on him, but that's just a hunger for the ball. Costly went up, uses his body, he's big, strong. That's a remarkable header in stoppage time. He's a handful.
What a player.
I talked about the one against Panama. That's stoppage time again. Great vertical leap for a guy with his size and strength. That's just a tremendous performance.
Well, I'll tell you who's reaping the benefits is his club in Poland, GKS Belchatower. I mean, they must be very happy seeing him performing like this for his national side. And What a fantastic player. Very exciting player as well. Shepard, good point about he didn't start in the first match. He comes in and he contributes right away. He scores very late in the game. Here he is again showing that this is what he wants to do. He wants to get the ball. He wants to be dangerous in the final third. Every team needs a player like that. This is the guy who's the answer for Honduras right now. Hopefully he can keep it going.
And again, we talked a lot about the Mexican deficiencies, but it's really not. I mean, this was a great, entertaining, exciting game. Give Honduras all the credit in the world. These guys played with a passion, got forward. I mean, I'm sure they're celebrating, but they got to wake up and play again.
And Shep, let's not forget, this is a team who had a penalty early in the match and missed that penalty as well. So to come back from that and dig down from being 1-0 down, they scored 2 second-half goals.
Great job.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but in both those clips with Costley, he seems to be able to do this thing a bit like Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan of basketball. He just seems to hang in the air for a little bit longer than everyone else, and boom,
yeah,
he's
very
away.
dangerous, Dennis. I mean, good point. I mean, he's very lethal in the air, and I think in terms of like even what Shep's saying, if you've got guys who are trying to mark up, which really Mexico didn't do throughout the day, you've got to be really tight to this player. Get an arm on him at least and put him off the ball, put him off the challenge. If you could put a player off the challenge and he's not going to get the head directed properly at goal, but even having said that, a guy comes in late there, he's trying to defend, puts him off the ball just enough, but still he's able to get above the guy, off balance, facing the wrong way, and direct this ball into the top corner net. That's just fantastic. That's great ability.
Signature moment because our partner Dennis made a correct technical assist.
All right, am I feeling some love?
No, great athletic ability.
Tennis
got in the air.
All right, there we go. All right. Well, when we come back, we have a look at the second game from Group C. But here's a little bit for you, a little bit for your information.
Like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
If you're looking for technical analysis of the Gold Cup, you have come to the right place. The show is called Inside the Gold Cup, and that is exactly what we do. Our second match from Group C was between Panama and Cuba, and this Panama side, tons of talent in there, John.
Absolutely. For me, you know, never mind you're talking about, I like Rivera, Carlos Rivera, who comes out of the back. I mean, he overlaps quite well. Good left foot as well. Shep puts balls in the box. Up top, very dangerous.
Yeah,
I know you like Perez.
I like Perez, and I like Beloy as well, who's tucking in his central player, but he gets forward as well.
Well, for the Cubans, they might have been an unknown side when they first came into this tournament, but after that game against Mexico, there are names that we absolutely know and love in there. Names like Alcantara, Fife, Duarte, just tons and tons of talent all over the park for this Cuban team.
Well, those are the three guys for me that were exciting in the first match. All of them are combining with each other through the midfield and up front, and I think it's important to get the ball into Duarte's feet early. He's like a guy who picks it up from a deep position in midfield.
Yeah, you got to get him in the game. I like the goalkeeper, Molina, as well. And we know the guys to keep our eye on, Alcantara. I mean, the guy can go to goal.
Yeah, Fife is dangerous as well. I mean, he's good on the ball. He gets good strikes on goal. So, I mean, he complements, I think, Alcantara up front very well.
Well, Cuba narrowly missed out against Mexico in the first game. Could they go one better against Panama?
There's an early chance here. What a bad clearance, by the way. And almost punished there. Fife getting a good strike just at the near upper 90. Look at that, just catching the post.
You got to take advantage when you get a miscue like that. Here's
And
Panama on the ball. That's a great little ball over the top.
And here's our dangerous boy, Perez, just nodding this one on. And what happens, Chef?
You got to. This is the definition of ball watching. That's a great goal.
This one here, a little bit of rough and tumble. Free kick put in there. A little bit of a weak one, but hey, he does get it around the wall. Wall doesn't do his job. Keeper trying to get to the far post. Unlucky.
Yeah, the game really opened up, John, in the second half. There's a giveaway in the back. You give it away, and Panama is going to punish you. That's a giveaway in the back. Great little strike.
Bad defending, though. Marquez should not be getting to the ground there. It's a miscue, and that's Perez taking advantage of it. This is a fantastic build-up. Look at that finish. Alcantara on the back post. Look at the ball played over the top as well. How about that lethal finishing, though?
Yeah, that's a great, great goal. Boom, boom, boom. And he finishes with the left foot. Watch this play. Penalty kick. This is a chance for Panama to win the game.
And this is Beloy who steps up here. And unfortunately, Beloy, 90th minute, son. Hard and low. Don't they teach you that when you're in the youth game? Hard and low. Keep it hard and low. Hit the target.
Now, you mentioned, well, sorry, let's go to the stats first. 2-2 the final score in terms of all the stats, shots, saves, fouls, corners, offsides. Just a little bit of difference in the corners. But apart from that, another game that was fairly even in Group C.
I'll tell you, maybe a little bit even, but very exciting. I mean, both these teams came out getting shots on goal from everywhere. A lot of mistakes in the back as well. I mean, honestly, they're going down to the pitch there. We're talking about Marquez as a defender there. He's dropping down to the pitch. He should be standing up and trying to chase Perez down, but hey, you give those opportunities, Perez is going to hammer you, and that's what he does very well.
Now, what I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, before the stats popped up and went, poof, just like that, is have you been surprised with Cuba's performance in the 2 games that they've played in the tournament?
Well, I tell you, I don't think I've been surprised. The thing about Cuba, though, we don't get to see them often. So once you look at their team one time, you could see that they have some talented players. And John talked about it early in the tournament. They're just playing with joy. They're getting forward. They're having fun. They're making tackles. They're scoring goals. They have everything to gain, nothing to lose.
Absolutely, and we talk about the quality, Shep, and how it's improved over the years, and especially in the Gold Cup, and this is exactly what you're saying. Now we're getting a chance to see a team like Cuba, who's now not only just hanging out there and trying to compete in the Gold Cup and hang on, they're actually coming out and they're playing very good football. But the one thing about them, which for me is very exciting to see, is that they bring energy to the game, and this is at any level. A team can't go out there and have loads of ability, but keep the ball in the back and knock it around very slow. When they play quickly, 1 and 2 touch, they move the ball forward as fast as they can. And when they link up with a player like Alcantara, you don't know where he's going to be. I mean, he's getting in behind the defense. He's splitting 2 center backs. He's coming back for the ball, laying it off. Duarte's pitching it over the top. This is an exciting team to watch.
Yeah, John's making a great point about good technical, tactical soccer. Years ago, we would have expected a team maybe that's outmatched to bunker it down. You know, sit 10 in the back, look to counterattack. Now they're getting forward, moving off the ball, making the ball do the work, playing one touch. It's beautiful.
Good stuff, huh? I love it. No, honestly, it's great fluid. It's great fluid football. I love that.
I love this game.
Jimmy.
All right. Well, one thing that John and Shep did touch on, though, is how Panama will punish you if you give them the ball.
So all the managers talk to the players. They say, don't make mistakes in the back. Look at that left back. He's ball watching. What are you doing watching the ball? Turn and mark your player.
Yeah.
Lets him slip right in behind him. That's a great goal, but poor defending.
You can't mentally switch off like that. Perez is just such a good player. And look at Garces. I mean, this is a fantastic volley in the corner. And this is, again, Perez. Marquez gets to the ground here, but then, look, he can't recover. And, you know, you're going to get hurt. And there he is. He only needs 1 chance in the game. I mean, Perez, we all talked about how lethal he is in the air. But look, technical finish as well. Very well done. Keep it hard and low. Find in the corner.
Defending's all about anticipating, giving coverage, helping your teammate. There was no help there.
No, not much at all.
You guys might give me a bit of a hard time, and I might get a hard time from you at home. But no. Look, is it fair to say, like, I've watched both of Panama's games, as we do for the show, but they're getting the results. But when I watch them, it just doesn't seem like there's anything exciting or anything magical about them. But yet, you know, they're doing fantastically.
I mean,
Well, I don't know if that's fair or not, or if I'm just not seeing it. But they didn't thrill me against Honduras. They didn't thrill me against Cuba. But they're in there and they're doing it.
Wait. Let's get something. Who are we talking about here, Dennis?
Panama.
I mean, no, really. Who are we talking about here? No, I'm just kidding. Look,
I was like, oh no.
Shep and I give
I have
Dennis
no
a little
idea
bit
what
of
that
stick.
No,
We
he's
give him a
just
little
like-
stick.
He's
But
from
on the
New
show,
Zealand.
when we talk about Panama, and I think this is, Shep and I we were discussing before the show. We were saying what's really different about Panama, this year. We talked about them making it to the final against the USA in 2005 Gold Cup. They lost on penalties. It was a 0-0 game. One thing that they did very well back in those days, and they might not have had all the ability in the world to get forward, be creative, and very dangerous in the final third, but one thing they did well was they defended well, and at least they were staying compact. Now we're seeing the Panama side, I think, that has lost that cohesiveness in the back, and they seem to be getting split like Swiss cheese. I mean, really, there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes there,
John,
and Dennis would like that.
Yeah, I did like it.
John, you've seen it before, though. We're still in group play. You're going to see teams in the Gold Cup evolve. Some are going to get better, get out of the group, get into the quarterfinals, change the way they play a little bit. Right now, a little bit of nerves, a little bit of tension. I mean, the pressure's on. They know every game can mean they're going home. So you're going to see a team like Panama. I don't know if they're going to get better or they're going to go down, but it's still a work in progress.
It is a work in progress, Shep, but having said that, I mean, Panama knew what they needed to do when they stepped into this game. They need to get in. If they actually got a win in that match, they would have been able to go through probably to the next round, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking points-wise. So they know what's ahead of them, but I still think there's a little hesitation there. The Panama beforehand, I was saying they were very defensive and cohesive in the back, and back in 2005. But they weren't afraid to send players forward. And when you send players forward, you got three in the back. Maybe you're allowed to put, if the ball's on the left side, you can maybe send that right-sided fullback up, tuck in the midfielder, and then you have an opposition. You have somebody like an outlet. You can ping it across the pitch. To me, Panama's playing safe. They're holding players down. Maybe it's the coach is being a little bit more reserved. I know you like Guimaraes, Alexander. I mean, he used to be at Costa Rica. Now he's coming to the side saying, maybe we keep our shape, play a little bit safe, see what the other team has.
Let me give you.
Let
me play devil's advocate because I think you're right. You're saying they're
and
playing
you've
safe.
done it before very well.
You say they're playing safe. I say they're playing nervous. What better opportunity?
Okay.
What better opportunity? You're in stoppage time. You have a penalty kick. It's right there for you to win the game. What does he do? Steps up and blasts it over the crossbar. So I don't think it's so much the coach or the team saying, let's be safe. I think they're still butterflies. We've seen Mexico be tense and tight. I think we see the same for Panama.
I mean, but is it the wrong man stepping up to take the penalty?
Here you
I
go.
don't know. But I'll tell you one thing I noticed, Guimaraes with Costa Rica in the past. Costa Rica were quite a daring side, whereas with Panama they're a lot more conservative. So maybe I'm with Shep. I'm sorry, I've got to say Shep. Yeah, I don't think it's a coach, John.
If he's with,
oh no!
If he's with me, then I'll take it back.
I'm in trouble.
We're all entitled to our opinions, and that's what soccer's all about. That's what the beautiful game is all about. Everybody has their opinions. No, honestly, and that just makes good banter.
To me, that's tight when you step up in stoppage time. And you said it, John. When
I'm
we saw the
saying
replay.
Guimaraes has got them playing reserve. I'm telling you now.
Actually,
I'm just saying. They have a talented team. They're not fantastically individuals. I'm telling you. They're not like brilliant individuals, okay? They have some up top. No, Perez is good.
Yeah.
We like Perez.
Like
we
Perez.
like Garces.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes.
Who else do we like? I mean, honestly, when you think about it, everybody else is playing safe. Everybody else is making the safe ball, the safe pass. Beforehand, they were able to put a ball down, play into midfield, get it back, and one-time it across the pitch to the overlapping fullback who was going around. Yeah. I mean, we like Riveras, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Carlos. We like Carlos.
Love him flying up and down.
Yeah,
the
we do.
left
But
Dennis,
how many times did we
jump
see
in
him
when
do
you have
that?
an opinion.
How many times
Actually-
did we see him do that in the first half? Twice.
I think scared. John, we're saying the same thing.
Can I
Tentative, nervous, safe, scared.
Scared?
You're going to see teams.
Scared from what? They were 2005 finalists.
But look at the way they just played in this game.
Can I steer you down?
Give him a
another-
drink.
Can
Somebody
I steer
get
you
a
down
drink
another
in here.
track? If permissible, can I steer you down?
Yes.
Is that
Go
a
ahead.
word? Permissible.
Yes, it
That
is.
is a word. Okay, I thought I just made one up on the spot there.
I don't know, but just
talking
get on with
about
it.
penalties. Talking about penalties, I want to go from a goalkeeper to an attacker. Shep, when you were standing there, and it's a critical penalty, like Beloy's one to win the game, is anything psychologically you used to do to win the game, or
Did
try
you
and
ever
put them
see
off
any
their
of
game?
his
or-
video? This boy, he knew how to get inside the player's head like crazy.
So-
I mean,
so-
honestly. Well, I mean, he would delay the game. He would go to the
Still take
corner.
my
He would
shirt
hit the
off.
goalpost if he wanted. He's got another can of Skol. He's putting it in between a cheek and
But
gum.
I'll tell you why John knows it, because in a penalty kick situation, in a pressure spot, all the pressure is on the kicker. It's not on the goalkeeper.
It is.
I
That's
make
very
a
true.
save, I'm a hero. I want to make the guy who's stepping up to the PK spot think. Stall, delay. At the end of the day, I feel all the pressure is on the kicker, and we saw that Panama in stoppage time. Beloy, boom.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, there's players, some of the best players in the world. Diego Maradona in the World Cup Finals. Baggio, '94 Cup Final against Brazil. I mean, you know, Baresi, Chris Waddle. I mean, Stuart
Some of the
Pearce,
greatest
all the
strikers
best
in the world.
players in the world.
Don't want to take them.
Platini from France. I mean, they've missed penalties. Everybody misses penalties.
John, have you ever had to take them? And B, if you have, I've read that some players have commented that in the high pressure situations, somehow the goalkeeper seems to get bigger and the goal seems to get smaller. Has that has it ever happened to you? And B, how do you take penalties, or what happened with you in pressure situations?
It happened to me in terms of your first question in regards to the goalkeeper getting bigger. It happened to me when I was 7. I cried my eyes out for about 3 days. I let the team down. We lost the indoor championship, but no, just kidding around. I took a penalty against Colombia when we used to play in the old, Marlboro Cups. And I missed. Mike Windishman missed. I think maybe Tab Ramos missed. 3 of us in a row. I mean, it was just it was intense, and it was down in Miami as well.
Let it go,
look,
John. Get over it. Get over it, son.
I'm sorry to make
I have twitches still every night, but yeah, and I've made plenty as well. I think it's all up here mentally. I mean, it depends on how you are in the game. If you're fatigued physically, I don't think you should be stepping up to take a pen. I think that players that are fresh, they come on, they feel more relaxed, they can go up there and strike the ball. So it depends on the game situation as well. I also believe sometimes when you get taken down for penalties, you might not be in the right frame of mind to step up and take that ball. Maybe somebody else is from the back.
All right, well, when we come back, we have a look at what lies ahead for Group C. In the meantime, here's a look at the top goal scorers from the tournament so far.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Welcome back to Inside the Gold Cup, where we have been following the trials and tribulations of the teams in Group C. Yes, if we look at the standings in Group C, we have Panama at the top on 4 points, with Honduras in second, Mexico in third, and Cuba in fourth with 1 point. Now, this is what I like, gentlemen, is depending on how Cuba go against Honduras, they could make it through to the next round.
Come on, Cuba! That's all we're saying.
I just really like them. There's something about it.
We want the win. We want the 3 points for Cuba, and at least they can get up near the top. And no matter what, well, not no matter what, but we're hoping that at least they can even get squeaked through as a third grade. They might be second. They might get second if they get the win. Mexico, you know, struggles against Panama.
You're getting ahead of yourself, son.
Panama blow out Mexico.
Here's the deal. You know what I like about it? I like that we're going into the final games, group stage, and it's on the line for everybody.
It's all open.
Nobody out, nobody through. Everybody's got to go
Mexico, Panama draw. Okay. Right. Cuba wins against Honduras. Cuba's through.
All right, well, let's just have a look
Even
at when
at the
those
third
games
place.
are. Of course, June 13th, and Group C heads to Houston, to the Reliance Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. And the first game is Cuba versus Honduras at 8 Eastern Time and 5 Pacific Time. And our second game is between Mexico and Panama at 10 Eastern Time and 7 Pacific Time. I know that some of the Mexican papers have been asking for Sanchez's head. Do you think that's fair, gentlemen, after that performance?
Absolutely fair. I think when you're the manager, you're the guy in charge, you're the leader of a powerhouse, whether it be Mexico, whether it be the United States. Hey, big players, you got to get the results. No question, you got to get the results.
And I agree with that. And I think with Shep too, it kind of changes, you know, obviously from one federation to the next, and one fan base to the next, different countries. I mean, there's more pressure on some than others. And Mexico has always been, I guess, a country that's very impatient. They're very result oriented, which every national team should be.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes some federations look at countries and they say, okay, first-time coach, this is a little bit of a tune-up. Let's see what kind of players he's looking at. Maybe he's changing formations just to really solidify a future down the road, maybe 6 months from now, 8 months from now, qualifying, everything else. But I think with Mexico, Sanchez is in trouble. And if he doesn't pull out, not only just getting the result, but playing very well and dominating in this particular group, okay? If he doesn't do that, it could be very, very costly for him. And I don't mean Carlos costly.
I'll tell you one thing that we touched on right at the very start of the game is the papers might be absolutely or quite scathing or quite ruthless of Sanchez's performance. But the thing that I liked in terms of the crowd here in New York at the game there at the Giant Stadium is you mentioned about the crowd wasn't segregated between Mexico and Honduras. They were all together, and the really nice thing was in front of me was a couple of Mexican guys and a couple of guys for Honduras, and they were both encouraging each other. It was a nice banter, a little bit of fun, giving each other a bit of stick, but there wasn't any animosity, and that is just fantastic. When there's 68,000 people all doing that, and you can see it right in front of you, it just lets you know that this is a beautiful game, and there's not that much animosity. You know, we hear about all these soccer hooligan stories and everything, and it's really good to see the flip side of people being able to go support their team and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a great advertisement for the game, honestly. And, you know, when we do talk about all the wrong things that are in soccer or the things that are being, like, exposed in the game or even focused on, you know, whenever you see some news about overseas in Belgium or riots, and, you know, that's what they want to see in America. Unfortunately, that's what gets the news. But, you know, the beautiful game, Dennis, like you said, and it's good to see that the fans are getting along, they're mixing in there. And, you know, we talked to our friend Chuck Blazer, and he's at the stadium too. That's the first thing that he pointed out. He's saying, look, guys, you know, this is very important that people view this and learn from it. They see this, Shep, and then they're able to mix in and keep the groups of fans together like that. There's no reason to segregate them, stick them down one end of the stadium, then the other, and then create this type of fever pitch anxiety that we might meet at halftime and have a little go at each other.
We're talking about the one sport, you know, worldwide that transcends political boundaries, geographic boundaries, economic boundaries, and we talked about embracing, and Dennis, you're right. I mean, to be able to be at Giant Stadium where 68,000 people were electrified by Honduras, Mexico, and enjoying it together, that's a good thing. Hopefully we see more of that throughout the rest of the Gold Cup tournament.
It's so positive. It's just such a good positive message. That's the main thing.
It was great walking down. Yeah, sorry, John.
Go ahead, mate. No, it's very positive.
I loved it. Walking down the tunnel, there was again another instance, a Mexican lady and another lady from Honduras shaking hands. Oh, good game. We'll get you next time. You know, and I thought, hey, that's cool. Now, looking ahead, though, to Mexico and Panama, if you're Sanchez, from a tactical perspective, what changes would you make for the game?
Well, changes. I think personnel, never mind just in terms of formation, but I think personnel and obviously the attitude as well. I mean, for me, Castillo's got to be back on the pitch. I mean, he's a very exciting player. I mean, get him on the pitch.
Totally agree.
I don't like him.
No.
You don't have to bring him back.
No. But Blanco's out with the red card.
Right.
Borghetti, he's got to be on the field for me too.
Exactly.
So,
you know, I mean, look, in terms of formation, do you go with a really strict just three in the back, pour it on, and maybe play a 3-4-3? Can Pardo handle that in the central midfield on his own? I mean, he's a different player as well, Pardo. I think he was used to playing this Mexican style, which is very short, crisp, passing, you know, good distribution early, and when they defend, Mexico's been very good at this. They hunt in packs of wolves. I mean, they wait for that one little slow pass. They really do. That one little slow pass that goes to the one player, boom, 2 or 3 players go, and they really they really shut down.
John, listen, not that
they do shut down.
Not that
but what they're not doing, Pardo's not doing. He's been playing at Stuttgart in Germany. He's a different player.
John, you're not on the field now. John Hawks, U.S. against Mexico. I still give this
Come
Mexican
on, Bob Bradley. Come on, son.
I give this Mexican team, they're going to get it right. They're going to figure it out. They have too much talent.
I don't think so. They're not good enough, Shep.
I think they will.
And just quickly, of course, the other game, Cuba, Honduras, will we see, or what can we expect to see from that, Shep?
That's a real toss-up because I'm impressed with what Honduras did. And I'm impressed with Cuba. So I think that's going to be a very even match. And that kind of game is determined by, that moment of individual brilliance or maybe a mistake at the back. I think it'll be a close game.
I think in terms of the strength of the side, for me, a lot of games are won in the midfield, Shep. And not just because I played there, but I'm just saying a lot of games are won in the midfield. That's where the pace and the rhythm of the game is dictated. And I think really Honduras has the edge against Panama in the midfield. So look to see if they keep good ball possession, which we talked about before. Dennis, you liked the way they moved the ball about quickly as well. And I know Shep was saying, look, when they play ping balls in wide, they were playing the inside out. They were going out, back in, bang, forward, and they did it quickly. So could be dangerous.
All right. Well, we'll find out after Wednesday whether John Hawks and Shep Messing are right about some of their predictions or some of the things they've touched on. Now, when we come back, very, very privileged, we get to speak to the president of CONCACAF, Jack Warner.
Gatorade Sports Science Institute. We test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
I'm with Jack Warner, the president of CONCACAF. Firstly, Jack, thank you very much for your time. Also, I noticed that you took over the presidency of CONCACAF in 1990, and then in 1991 we had the Gold Cup. Was it something that you inherited, or was it something that you developed in a short space of time?
Well, let me say, first of all, I didn't take over CONCACAF. I fought for it, fought to get elected, and we then won it because it was tough. Very difficult after 32 years with one Mexican as president. And when we got CONCACAF in 1990, we got a table, 8 chairs, and $40,000 US. That's all. That's all.
Oof.
And I looked around to see what can be done. How can we move this confederation from the doldrums, so to speak, to some position of pinnacle? And then I went to Chuck Blazer, who was my friend from since '86, and he was the automatic choice based on his competence, his expertise, and so on. And overnight, we were able to bring several competitions, of which the Gold Cup is our premier competition.
How has it developed since 1991 to now in 2007?
Well, in the early years, because it was a new competition, in the 1991 and others, we had to find and look for other countries to come in and take part. We brought in, at one point in time, Brazil, then Colombia, South Africa, South Korea, and these countries, they came in. And they came in to help to give us a kind of international legitimacy and respect, as it were. And over the years, we have been able to develop our teams to a level that is acceptable now worldwide. And beginning from this year, we are of the opinion, and believe you me, successfully so too, that we can stand on our own. And therefore, all 12 teams this year are totally CONCACAF teams. There are no foreign teams anymore.
I noticed that at the press conference when you opened the tournament, you said, and if I have my way, it will be just CONCACAF from now on in.
And I swear to you. In fact, I don't know if you saw the game against Cuba, with
Oh,
Cuba, even Guadeloupe, Haiti. There is not a single match that has been played so far that you can call it a bad match, a poor game. I have never enjoyed football as I did in the last 3-4 days. I was in Miami, I was in LA, I was at Giant Stadium, and all these games I've seen are top-class games. In fact, I tell you, the Cuban team that played against Mexico came within a whisker of winning. And if Cuba could have done that from the Caribbean, there is a lot of hope for the future. And I am convinced that we do not need to have any more foreign teams in our competitions again.
For yourself personally, how proud do you feel, as you mentioned, you inherited 8 chairs, a desk and some money, to where CONCACAF is now and where the Gold Cup is now?
No, I'm extremely proud. But I want to say quickly that this pride is based on the collective efforts of all of us. Not only the president, I am merely, of course, the captain of the ship, but the guys who work on the ship, the team, the staff, and particularly the staff at the New York office, head by Chuck. They are the ones who really carry this forward. And we have a kind of renaissance, as it were, a kind of enlightenment now in football, in CONCACAF, and I tell you, there's no turning back, none whatsoever.
For the future of the Gold Cup, are you looking to possibly expand the tournament from 12 teams to some more, or look to do something different as it goes on?
Ideally, we should go to 16 teams, but I would like to say that is down the road, because we should at least, I always make a point, we should quit before we walk, and we should not allow our success, our immediate success, to tend, of course, to push us too quickly. And for me, ultimately 16 teams, but right now I'm satisfied with the 12 that we have.
I've also heard rumours of possibly a CONCACAF Champions League at a club level. Is that correct?
That's perfect. That's correct. It was passed at the last Congress. It was passed at the last CONCACAF Executive Committee with 24 teams. It's an event whose time is due, and the system we have in play is not only innovative, but is one that is satisfactory to all the countries, all the participants. And I believe that will be as popular as, if not more than, the Gold Cup, because it encompasses the clubs now, and the clubs sometimes have even stronger affiliation than some of the countries. The passion is always there, the sponsorship is always there, and I really, really believe that, more importantly, the fact that we have the FIFA Club World Championship every year now would make that event even more important than it is at the moment.
Would the winner of the Champions League participate in the Club World Cup
in
Japan?
Yes, most definitely. That will be the case, and that will be so beginning of 2009.
Before you leave the presidency, or before you leave CONCACAF, what would be your ultimate dream to where to see it in the future?
You know, that's a fantastic question.
Thank you.
The day, and I mean very soon, I would want to see a CONCACAF country in a World Cup final. If we don't win it, Jesus Christ, it's our time. We have to be in a World Cup final. And if you ask me, and I say this, it would seem over the years that Mexico is the country that is best geared to do this for us. And that is why always I'm concerned about the fortunes of football in Mexico. Because when Mexico football is on the rise, CONCACAF is on the rise. The US also is coming along, and so is Costa Rica. But we have to have a country in a World Cup final. That's the first thing. Secondly, our women's football must be expanded more in the CONCACAF. Not enough countries are playing women's football, and that must not exist in the next 2 to 4 years. And thirdly, and most importantly, our youth programs must be more effective. We can't expect to succeed in football unless we build from the ground up, and therefore our youth programs must be effective. It must not be cosmetic. It must be truly effective programs where we must put some money, have a vision, know where we want to go, and how we want to get there. And if those things are achieved, the rest will fall into place, like refereeing, coaching, sports medicine, and so on.
Well, Jack, what was the basic premise behind the Gold Cup itself?
Well, let me say, prior to the Gold Cup, you had World Cup qualifying, and that was a 4-year event. But the Gold Cup came in for every 2 years, so as to stimulate activity among the countries, to keep them prepared on an ongoing basis, and to help them to lift the level of football. So we had deliberately made the Gold Cup a 2-year event, as it had been from inception and as it is now, contrary to what happens in other confederations, of course.
Also, it must help when the Caribbean Cup started and also the UNCAF Cup as well, because then you've got the teams playing quite regularly.
Based on that, therefore, our regional associations now also have to qualify. So you had UNCAF, which is Central America. They know how to qualify against teams for every 2 years. The Caribbean, through the Caribbean Football Union, the same. And therefore you had this cycle on an ongoing basis. And I'm saying that this helped to stimulate activity among the countries and to bring them up to an acceptable level.
Now, you mentioned that your ultimate dream would be to see a team from CONCACAF in the World Cup final. How much do you think that the Gold Cup will help the teams from CONCACAF make that journey?
Because we have this 2-year cycle, which means that they have to be prepared on an ongoing basis, which means they have to sustain their development and their programs. It means that that will help to keep them fit and ready. And I should possibly make the point that this explains the Cubas of this world, the St. Kitts and so on, because the Gold Cup is a 2-year affair, not a 4-year affair.
All right, well, thank you very much,
Well,
Jack. Thank you very much for your time. I'll let you.
at all.
How many emails did you say you had to answer?
Still 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
And that's in a day? You'd get 3,000 in a day?
More or less, sometimes more.
All right, well, I better let you go do some work. When we came back, it is more from Inside the Gold Cup from 2007.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Through the Football for Hope movement, FIFA is committed to protecting children and their rights, furthering social integration and peace and reconciliation. Football for Hope champions health promotion and anti-discrimination. FIFA is firmly committed to using football to resolve some of the most pressing social challenges of our time. Football can change the world.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Oh, these boys just keep teasing me every time we come back from a break. Welcome back to Inside the Gold Cup, and as we saw, very, very privileged to have an interview with Jack Warner, very busy man. As we saw, 3,000 emails to answer straight after his interview. Now, one thing he touched on, Shep, that I thought was really, really cool is he mentioned, as we saw, that he would love it one day for a CONCACAF team to be in the final of the World Cup, and believes that all these tournaments playing in the Gold Cup and the way that CONCACAF's shaping up, there is potential for that.
Well, first of all, John Hawkes gets 4,000 emails, that he's got to answer.
I get 20 if I'm lucky. So I
you get 20 a year.
Yeah.
But back to the point. I think we all support what Jack said about a CONCACAF team. We would all love to see one not only get to the final in the World Cup, but win the whole thing. And I think this is a Gold Cup show, and one of the reasons Gold Cup started was to enhance the level of play at the international level of the teams in CONCACAF. I think it's doing its job.
The other thing that he touched on that I got really excited about, because I just sort of heard a few gossips about, about the office and stuff, was the CONCACAF Champions League, 24 teams, and of course the winner goes through to the Club World Cup in Tokyo, or not necessarily just Tokyo, but in Japan.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Again, what Shep's saying is that, we're getting more exposure, we're getting more opportunities, I think, not just for the players, but for the countries as well. And this is all good stuff. It's all good progress. And when you talk about maybe the opportunities of not just playing in the club championships, but also when you're representing yourself in the World Cup, can you get to the finals? Of course you can. I mean, do people talk about maybe one day USA and maybe 2-3 World Cups from now could possibly win the World Cup? Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Everything's possible.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, you ready for your email question?
Absolutely.
All right, okay, this one's from Joe Funari, and he asks, love the show, guys. Thanks, man. I've got a quick question. How is it possible that a team like Cuba, with players who do not have European or even MLS-based players, for that matter, compete with teams like Mexico and Panama? Are they that good, or are Mexico and Panama just that disappointing?
Well, I think, like, you know, the one thing, Shep, if you don't mind me jumping in here, and we've discussed this many times, is that, you know, what we're seeing in international football, not just whether it's Cuba or Panama or the Faroe Islands or whoever it may be, I think the gap is closing in international football. The game's becoming more global. And so when you see a team like Cuba, and like Shep said earlier on in the show, when you see them for the first time, you're surprised. You know, when you see them for the second time, you're not, because they're very good quality players. The question, though, is saying, maybe I think you're kind of thinking, what's the Cuban league like? You know, not a lot of people know that. And Jeb, you have a very good point about these players playing in Cuba.
Yeah, guess what? We're not allowed to find out right now. I do believe if some of the players from Cuba were allowed to get over and play in Europe.
To defect.
To
leave.
Or to play in Major League Soccer, they do well. But again, we're getting a glimpse of how they are. They're a good team. And I know one part of the email was, is Mexico disappointing? So I'm going to speak for my brother, John Harks, because he will say they are disappointing.
All right, well, thank you very much.
And Panama hasn't seemed to improve too dramatically either in the 2 years since the Gold Cup final in 2005.
We'll keep watching.
Well, thank you very
so
much,
it's a combination of both, Joe.
Hopefully, Joe, that answers your question. And if you have any questions for our panel, anything you want to ask them, just email us at mail@awesomeballs.com. That's mail@awesomeballs.com. And for all the latest news, www.concacaf.com or www.goldcup.org for all the latest you need to know about the tournament. Now, tomorrow, make sure you tune in. Yes, Guadeloupe looking to make history in the final round-robin matches against Costa Rica in Group A. And, of course, also the other game we have is Haiti and Canada. We'll see you tomorrow.
The reproduction, distribution, publication, modification, public display, public performance, or transmission of this broadcast in any manner, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of CONCACAF, is strictly prohibited.